Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. So I wanted to say hello and welcome to the third conversation in dieDAS's third annual Walk and Talk. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm Wava Carpenter of Design Miami and Anava Projects. And today for this conversation, I'm very honored to introduce Xu Tiantian of Beijing-based studio DNA Design and Architecture. I would like to note that we may have enough time for a few questions from the audience towards the end of the conversation. So feel free to share any questions you have in the in the chat box. Tiantian received her Master of Architecture and Urban Design from Harvard Graduate School of Design and her baccalaureate in architecture from Tsinghua University in Beijing. She received numerous awards through her career, such as the WA China Architecture Award in 2006 and 2008, the Architectural League of New York's Young Architects Award in 2008, the Design Vanguard Award in 2009 by Architectural Record, and the Moira Gemmell Prize for Emerging Architect in 2019. Tiantian has built a number of projects in her career, but recently, I believe over the last 7 years or so, she has been pioneering new architectural approaches to social and economic revitalization in the rural Songyang County in China. And notably, she's developed what she calls architectural acupuncture, which has led her to elevate and honor local contexts quite a bit, especially kind of regional heritage and traditions and landscapes. So welcome, Tiantian. I really appreciate you being here. It's a joy to be talking with you. Please feel free to start your presentation and show us about your work.
Thank you, Alva. Thank you for the introduction. And thank you all for joining us in this evening. Let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen? Okay, great. Thank you. I'm Xu Tiantian. I'm an architect from Beijing, and today I would like to take our architectural practice in Songyang County, typical agricultural county in China, to rethink or redefine rural in our contemporary living. Since 2014, 7 years ago, we've been collaborating with Songyang County by adapting architectural acupuncture as a strategy to targeting the rural symptoms in Songyang County. This is the county urban center, which has 50,000 population, and the rest 140,000 population are living in villages scattering around in the mountain and in this valley and mountains. So architecture has become a systematic and sustainable strategy to target the local rural symptoms. The goal is to revitalize these villages by introducing a small-scale public program into each villages, looking into tailored to each individual heritage and tradition and context, and to restore the village identity to serve the community and local village, and also to build up interactions in between these villages, as well as between the villages and the county urban center. So in this process, it has become an effective strategy to restore the village identities, the rural identities, and attract young villagers returning home, and also to increase the village revenues. And in this process, we also want to say that these villages are not the only the isolated individuals. Actually, the strategy is rather to build up a interaction in between these villages and the county urban center in this county scale, and And also during this process, we discovered that there's so much more in the villages, in the rural, in the countryside. And a satellite system like Songyang County, with its small scale county urban center, and also the satellite, the scattered towns and villages, actually can provide a effective system to on one hand to revitalize the villages and the rural region. On the other hand, it could also provide a alternative living to our contemporary, metropolitan city living. And these are the projects we've been working in the past 7 years. Each has a different individual program tailored to the context. So for the village, it started with the ancestor. Basically, an ancient village is the large family, and with its generations of history and all has this dedication to the ancestor. This is one village which has over 400 years of history, but has already been surrounded by the factories and chimneys. So in this village, we wanted to after the discussion with the local communities, we've been working with this ancestors hall dedicated to the Wang Jing, one of the most important historical figures in this region, as the strategy to restore the honor for this ancient village. And this is the memorial hall dedicated to the ancestor, programmed at the center of this village. And this is a public building, built by the traditional rammed earth wall, having a dialogue with its neighbors, and also mapping with the village fabric. And the interior is rather articulated into a temple-like space. It's an open public space, open to everyone. And the space is rather more flexible, with its memorial, all the corners articulated into memorial corners. And in this space, all these structural corners are converted into memorial corners by applying a stone carving image, which indicates the different moments of the ancestors' life story. And by taking the corners as the memorial corners, we can also free up the space, and which can be occupied for different events. So this memorial hall, the priority function is for the ancestor Wang Jing, and but it's also flexible space to accommodate different cultural and community activities. And by building this memorial hall for the ancestor, it's also becoming a motivation, and also, as well as for the restoring the pride and honor for this village, for the community, to start their own business, or integrating with cultural tourism, and also to refurbish the traditional buildings in this village. The next village is a Hakka village in the mountain. The community, the Hakka community, relocated to this region from back to over 200 years ago across the mountain and settled down in this region. And indenture is basically it's the land deeds, contracts, or the legal paper documents, which actually build up the legal foundation for the Hakka society. Hakka means the guest family in Chinese. So in this village, the collection of Hakka indenture from this Xu Tiantian village in the mountain is actually the largest Hakka indenture collection in the country, in China. So we want to take this as the identity for this Hakka village to build up this Hakka indenture museum by the mountain, connecting the village with the mountain. So the building is set as a almost like a retaining wall from the mountain as the background for the village. Again, all these acupuncture projects are public buildings, public space, and open space, and with different cultural or with different programs. This is the, and this project, we also want to take this opportunity to revitalize a traditional masonry technique. This is a kind of a typical technique in this region, and it was also we would like to take this as kind of a symbol for the indenture as the legal foundation for the Hakka society. And on the other hand, this traditional masonry technique helps to create and or to articulate a archaeological atmosphere in the space by playing with dark and light. We want to take this space also addressed to the traditional courtyard houses in the village, where you always when you stand in the interior, you always look out to the courtyard, to the sky, to the light. And we do think that traditional masonry technique also played a significant role in articulating this atmosphere in the space. We also preserve the existing drainage on the site, which was the original creek bringing the water from the mountain into the village. So this is as a trace to, which is also becoming kind of a orientation in inside our space, and the skylight with the opening on the roof, this could collect the rainwater, also become a playful view in this in directing in this space, and not only the vision but also the sound, the mist in the space. And this Hakka Indenture Museum, we wanted take this building as a cultural platform for the village to showcase their history and tradition and cultural heritage. And in the rural region, you could always find many abandoned infrastructure. For example, the Shimen Bridge was built in 1970s, which was abandoned later on because of a nearby bridge for vehicles built in the 90s. So, well, the old Shimen Bridge was constantly under discussion to be demolished by the local authorities. But we thought that this could become an opportunity to, well, together with the river, the scenic district planning in this along the river, and more important, the bridge is also the collective memory for the local villagers, for the two villages across the river. So we propose that by refurbishing this old cement bridge and adding on a new wooden lounge on top, this could become a pedestrian and open space, a shared common space for the two villages across the river. And on the other hand, this abandoned infrastructure carries the collective memory for the local communities, can still have a new, or can have a new functions with this renovation. So the new wooden lounge is taking the rhythm of the existing bridge structure and also stops at the center to become a enlarged viewing platform. And for this village as a pedestrian walkway, this could also carry different purpose or different functions. For example, a weekend market on the bridge, and for local motorcycles. But more important, as the bridge carries the collective memory, and this bridge also becomes the best viewing platform for the adjacent water facility, which is over 1,000 years old, this Uyang Dam, a local water conservatory facility. And in this acupuncture strategy, in a different village, we could also take the nature, the natural elements, for example, to take the live bamboo into a structure, providing an open space in the bamboo forest. And this is a light and easy construction by weaving the live bamboo together, by utilizing the characters, the kind of flexibility and the tension of this type of bamboo in the mountain. So it does become an open space in the nature, which could be used as for villager activities, or could be a theater for local opera performance. And more important, we want to get into this chapter, which is also acupuncture strategy, but I'd like to introduce all these individual projects under this rural economy chapter. So rural has its history and the culture, the tradition, and respect to the nature, respect to the ancestor, and it all comes with its agricultural history, and each village in the region has a kind of different production or agricultural heritage in their own village. So we want to take this and we want to introduce all these different factories or workshops in a village as acupunctural projects to revitalize a local agricultural production heritage, also becoming a cultural identity for these individual villages. And more important, all these become a micro economic circulation in this region. So the first project is a conversion of a abandoned camellia oil workshop, which was built over 100 years ago. This is by the entrance of the village here. This is the original camellia and villagers' house built next door. That's the original rammed earth wall building as the camellia oil workshop. So this project takes this building as the, takes this workshop as the opportunity to revitalize this traditional camellia oil production in this village, which is produced in the winter, from October and also the in the winter season. And this project also, we adding a new additions, and so to bring out the kitchen from the main space as a individual room, and also adding some tourism viewing platforms for the visitors and as well as for the villagers. So the extension is wrapping around this ancient workshop, like almost like this workshop is hidden at the center of this new addition. And the whole structure is built by traditional wooden structure, tenant and mortise wooden structure. And the new additions, expansions are wrapped around by this stone masonry, stone walls. And the material is actually collected from the water. That's a sandstone collected from this river and cut in half to make it a new facade for this new addition. And all these structures are built by local villagers with traditional tenant and mortise techniques. That's how the new workshop is standing next to river, and really by this wall, it's merging with its surrounding, kind of as an extension from the river. And all this material are traditional, the stone and also the roof tiles, the wooden structure. And if you walk into the center of this workshop, you will discover this ancient camellia oil workshop, still preserved as its original form and original material. And new addition by Stonewall actually making a kind of a contrast with the texture and different color, and also and between this new and old. That's the original space and the new addition for kitchen. This is, we wanted to move the kitchen out of the interior space and kind of into this pavilion as a outdoor space for this kitchen for the fire issues. And these are the leisure space, and you can tell from these details that's the traditional tenant and mortise wooden structure. Even all these ram earths, like this is the, you can tell the age of the this ram earth. It's over 100 years old. And we wanted to preserve all these, the original traces. And you could also tell that some of that facade is actually a new addition or new renovation. And there's also a walkway crossing from the mezzanine of our the original workshop into the new addition, and walking into to the water, to the creek, as a platform for the visitors. This is an open pavilion for visitors in tourism seasons, but also it is open space for the villagers. So in all of these buildings, all these public program, it's providing open space for both visitors and villagers. Or on the other hand, we wanted to take the as small-scale public project in each village as an integration of cultural and cultural program, production program, as well as for to attract the visitors. And that's a section cutting through the main space, the original workshop, and the kitchen is moved out of the main space into the new addition. And also this is the water facility coming into this courtyard, actually becoming water power in this central space. That was how it was originally built. So we preserved as the facilities, the space as it used to be, as its original form. And all these, all these wooden facilities with the water power becomes the main character in the space, with its motion and the sound of all these equipments and the movement of the villagers performing or using these facilities. So even the light is given to all these original or these ancient tools, facilities, equipment. That's how the oil extraction machine is working. And that's the original space. And we wanted to say that this is many of these abandoned facilities that was built with for at least decades, has its value of local crafts and local building techniques. And we wanted to take this
Hello, I think we lost you. Can you hear me? No. I guess we will give her a few minutes to see if the internet comes back. It is a lovely image to be looking at in the meantime. Thank you everyone for your patience. I wish I had something as interesting to say as Tiantian. All I think we can do is wait for her to come back. Okay, she's logged back in as Manuel. There we go. You're back. Hello.
Sorry for the bad connection.
These things happen all the time. No problem. Please continue as you like.
Okay, I'll share the screen again.
Okay.
Okay. So we also work with this, well, in this ancient original workshop, we didn't make much except we did replace some of the roof tiles with the local glass tiles. So to create this, create this more dramatic space to play with the light. Well, with this picture, I also want to say that you can't really tell the kind of magic sensation from the picture. You actually really have to be on the site to listen to the water coming to the space and how the sound and the movements from the workers and the sound from all these equipments from these mining machines. And next project is a original silk forming workshop in another village. It's a flatland village by the river. And that's the original silk forming workshop built from the 50s. And it has been vacant or abandoned for decades. So in this village, we wanted to introduce this one as to revitalize the silk farming activities or production activities in this building, but also introduce this production as a cultural and tourism function. But when we talk about the tourism function in this region, we're not only talking about the tourists from the main from like the major metropolitan cities, but rather for the visitors from the county urban center within this county itself. These type of workshops or architectural projects provides like weekend getaway or weekend cultural activities for families living in a county urban center. So to revitalize the silk farming production in this building, the majority work is the renovation, and we did also adding a new addition at the back of the building as a garden and also a leisure space. That's the original silk farming workshop. And that's new addition. Actually, it used to be, this site used to be a storage room at the back of the building. And it's now, well, it was built in the traditional rammed earth wall building. Now it's left as a relic or ruin, only the walls. So we did take this opportunity to first to renovate the original workshop. That's the original form. And you can tell that there's a new addition at the back.
Porque hay unos
Structure.
de aquí, Diego me pasó.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have no idea where that sound came from.
Don't worry.
I guess please continue.
Okay, and this is new with this original workshop as a renovation, and this is a new addition at the back of the building. Actually, a light structure covered up these ruins of the storage space at the back. That's a very light touch at the back to cover up these relic walls, but also take the space as an extension, as a garden, a covered garden for leisure purpose. So this silk farming workshop becomes a cultural educational program on weekends for the families coming from the county urban center as visitors. The next project is in another flatland village in the, actually in a tea plantation for Xing village. The village it's known for its brown sugar production in this region. So in this village, unlike those mountain villages as traditional villages, this is rather a village has its steady population and very active agricultural activities, productions. And we wanted to introduce the brown sugar production in this village as the cultural heritage to restore this Xing village identity. So this is a new factory built away from the main village for fire issues and also to avoid interruptions with the village daily life. And more important, this is actually, you can tell from all these, the production compartments, this is to integrate existing family workshops into a village union to have the production in this factory. So that's the entrance of this brown sugar factory. You enter the space; it's all open to the surrounding and covered with the bamboo shade.
Hello? I heard you come back for a moment. Oh, apologies, everyone. I really do hope she comes back. There's so many really exciting aspects of her work. I plan to ask her about the role of pride. I've heard her speak in other contexts and explain how for this project over many years, she and her team have been spending time there talking with the people who live there and trying to understand what gives them the most sense of pride in where they come from and their heritage, and that a lot of her projects are directed toward elevating a sense of pride. And I'm also curious if that pride had waned in the face of modernism, and how everyone feels about it now that these new programs and economic programs have been implemented. I guess I'll just give her a minute to come back again. Hello, I just heard you.
And it's also running for 24 hours in the winter production season. And in the space, all the compartments, all the different production stations are lining up with the building structural rhythm. And this production movement again becomes the a live performance as a show in this factory. And so the other leisure programs or village programs become the surrounding space, kind of reorganizing into this open flows in space. And also it's not only opening up the view, but also introducing the landscape into the space as an extension from the farmland and the nature, the surrounding. And this is not only the production space, but also functioning as the village center cultural space for puppet show performance and also for movie nights for the village cultural activities. The next project is a different village has the best tofu production product in the whole region. And in this case, it's the tofu factory built at the entrance of the village as a shared village kitchen. So again, tofu is also produced in the family kitchen. Basically, every household in this village produced tofu almost every day. And the whole building is divided into 6 compartments based on the production sequence following the existing topography. All these compartments are also opening up to the public as a different chapters of the production stage. So on the other hand, this factory also becomes a live village museum to showcase the production and cultural heritage, cultural and agricultural heritage of this village. And parallel to this production compartment is the walkway going up the slope, opening up for the visitors as visitor lounge, also as a leisure space for the villagers. That's the tasting hall. This is also a multifunctional space, not only for as a cafe, as tasting hall, but also can functioning as a village center for different activities. So the acupuncture is not only to take the individual village as an isolation, but actually to build up a kind of an interaction and circulation between the villages and also between rural and urban. The acupuncture strategy can also happen in the county urban center as a integrated system in the whole county. So, and recently we have finished 2 new projects. One is the Maritime Center not too far away from the river. This is the new maritime center. And it's taking the original original fabric and original context in this region, in this historical district in the county urban center. This is the original boathouse, and as a renovation, and also the new addition of a maritime exhibition space, taking the original building envelope and articulated into one public cultural exhibition hall. Also integrating with an existing neighbor house as the supporting facility. So that's the whole compound or cluster in this historical fabric in the county urban center. And it's becoming a new cultural facility for this neighborhood, for this community. And showcase the traditional or the tradition or the historical context in this neighborhood. That's how the new building integrating or actually fighting with this existing 3-story buildings as its supporting facility. And that's the original boathouse next door. That's the building also integrating with a vacant site at the back as a bamboo forest, a bamboo garden with its open space. And interior is actually reorganized into a continuous open space. That's the renovation of the boathouse, becoming a new community center, community space. And the new addition, the new exhibition hall is also taking this original building form and work into a exhibition space. That's the middle, that's the covered courtyard as the joining point of the new exhibition hall and the neighbor 3-story facility building. Connected by a courtyard, covered courtyard and walkways to the neighbor. That's the original neighbor building, and this is new exhibition hall, and with the covered courtyard embedded as the connecting joint. So in this space, this new this original traditional boat becomes the center of the space for the well, it's telling the story of the maritime history of this historical district, and also looking out to the iconic mountain of this region. And we also wanted to use this even in this new edition. We wanted to keep the original railing as a local, not only crafts, but it's a very common architectural elements in this region, in this district. Another project is the Museum of Poetry also in the county urban center. At the other side of the county urban center is dedicated to the poetess Zhang Yuniang, another historical figure in this region. And this is a site for cenotaph. Let me see what is the cenotaph. It's the tomb, memorial tomb site for this poetess, and used to be a triangular site cut off by these 2 main roads in the county urban fabric. So this Museum of Poetry is to take this opportunity to to build not only the building, but also to convert the ground site into a memorial garden for the neighborhoods, for the county urban center communities, as well as a cultural facility in the county urban center. And this is how the building is sitting by the different regulations. It has different kind of openness on its four facades. And the ground level is wrapped by translucent glass panels into a memorial garden. The gradient of the translucency will actually introduce a different experience. When you walk into the space, you still look out to the streets, to the city with this transparent views. And when you walk into the space, your view is actually turned inside into this garden by the gradient of translucency on this panel.
Excuse me, Tiantian, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have about 3 minutes left, and I've been receiving a million questions from people. So I'd like to be able to at least ask you one or two before we have to let you go. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'll finish with this project, and
okay.
We'll get into the Q&A session. So yes, this project is another cultural acupuncture project into the county urban center to create or to restore the cultural identity for this neighborhood as well, to adding a new layer of cultural facility in the county urban center. And this is how the memorial garden in this space, and also the seating area is also intersect with this panels with the poets. On different level interior, and also looking out to the memorial garden. I think that's it for today. But I want to say that the acupuncture strategy, first started as the strategy to revitalize the rural region, the villages in the county scale, to build up this interaction in between the villages and the county urban center. But on the other hand, we also discovered that there's so much more in the rural and in the county, in its historical districts. So this acupuncture becomes also the opportunity to rediscover the rural, the countryside. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The ideas you presented are fascinating, and the images are just breathtakingly gorgeous. So we really appreciate you sharing that. Maybe I'll just get in a question or two, because there's a lot of interest in your work that I'm getting through the chat here. One is about your use of materials, which are clearly very regional and traditional, and they integrate well with the landscape. To what degree are you thinking about sustainability with these materials too, or is climate change a factor in determining the materials that you use?
I think, to use the material, the first principle is by convenience. We just, in the mountain, we use the stone from the mountain, from the river, and bamboo, whatever we can discover in this region around the village, or what's typical in the village, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how the local communities are building their houses in a smart way, and traditional, low-tech and traditional way. And we found it also very efficient. So that also becomes our strategy. But I want to point out that building in a village, in the rural, it's not only limited to the vernacular material, it's also open up to the modern construction techniques or whatever handy, right? And in this country, and I think like light steel structure or concrete could also become the material whenever it's convenient and efficient.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Another question we have here is actually, and I'm sorry, this may be the last question, but it's a nice one. There's a question about whether your own personal experience has driven your interest in working with the rural, or if this just sort of happened in your life and you seized the opportunity. But to what degree were you personally drawn to rethink how